What's going on there, guys? We back with another one. Want to talk about Dillon Gabriel on today as he stepped up to the podium and addressed those comments he made on the sideline of the Cleveland Browns' second preseason game, where he says there's entertainers and there's competitors, leading many to believe that he was voicing his opinion about Shedeur Sanders and all the hoopla that comes with him when he's playing, opposed to Dillon Gabriel. And Dillon's like, that's not what he's saying at all. He said that's actually a quote that he uses oftentimes to describe the media and their job to write things about players and to create narratives, opposed to the players who are in between the lines to go out there and compete. And so we're going to get into what he said. And I'm going to tell you this before we get into it. I feel like an underlying thing that is putting or pitting them two against each other is the fact that he came from Oregon. Let's not forget Dan Lanning and how vocal he was about Deion Sanders, prior to Dillon Gabriel getting to Oregon. And, the year he was there, he was pretty much, the coach, Dan Lanning that is, was saying that Coach Prime was all hype. They hadn't won anything. He was talking really big because he felt like, I have the superior roster and there's no way we can lose. And people feel like he's coming out of that program being in a locker room with Dan Lanning, who often talks down about Coach Prime. They're like, now we have these two QBs, Coach Prime's son, who's Shedeur, and Dillon Gabriel in the same QB room. So there was already a little tension from their college careers, is how the narrative is. So with that back history, let's get into it, guys.
There's entertainers and there's competitors, and I totally understand that. And my job is to compete, and that's what I'm focused on doing. Of course, we're doing this mid-game, but it's something that I'll get used to, and just want to be the best team that I can and create an environment where we can all go do our best work. That's all we want to do.
There's a quote that you said, there's entertainers and competitors. I'm a competitor, and I understand there's entertainers. What context is that quote given?
All you in this room are entertainers, and you have a job to do, and I respect it, right? And I'm a competitor, so I have a job to do as well. And I think, just understanding that, that's how I've lived by, and I've said that multiple times. So definitely not a new quote, but something that I've definitely said before.
You were referring to media as the entertainers?
Yeah, I just said that, yeah.
Yeah, and just to clarify, I think, how social media is, I think some people are trying to take that as something that you probably did not mean it as. Some people are trying to make it out to be sort of shot at Shedeur.
Yeah, first off, I'm all about our team, and each other. I would never make that, and I've said it before, that's why it's interesting. But for me, I've explained it. Entertainers are you all, competitor. That's what I am, and all my teammates, and we both have jobs to do. So that's it.
Now, some fans are also saying that head coach Kevin Stefanski is trying to make excuses for the pick that Dillon Gabriel threw. Let's peep.
There shouldn't be. They're out of their sandbox. They were in the wrong area of their sandbox. We'll get that cleaned up. That's something that's kind of what I'm talking about, Tony, where things like that happen in these games. We have to clean that up. And even if you weren't on that rep, you're a tight end or a wide receiver, you can learn from that rep. So that should never happen on that play.
Did you absolve Dillon from going on that, or some of it is also throwing?
Yeah, obviously that can never happen on that play. There's things, not all interceptions are created equal, but we can't do that as a football team.
Now, that quote is going viral because of the footage that came out last week where Kevin Stefanski praised everyone in the locker room except for Shedeur Sanders, and now they're saying he's taking up for Dillon Gabriel after that pick. Now, there's a lot of discourse around what happened on that pick. I see a lot of people blaming it on the tight end. You could hear Stefanski's commentary right there. Me personally, I think Dillon Gabriel played a good game. He definitely leaves me wanting to see more of what he can do. Shedeur left us definitely having to see more of what he can do. And that's why I think the third preseason game will be important. Hopefully, Shedeur's oblique injury isn't that serious or isn't nagging and just lingering around. And hopefully Dillon can stay healthy, because I could see both QBs getting the vast majority of the reps in the next game. But I think they both play well. Both look like QBs who, just based off this, now this is just one preseason game, and obviously you're not playing against the top guys, but none of them looked out of place. Neither one looked out of place. Shedeur played exceptionally well after he got his feet under him in that game. And Dillon, early on, it's funny because Shedeur started out a little slower and picked it up as time went on. Dillon came out better and then, kind of settled down as the game went on, or the game can progress on. But I think both of these guys, they did what they had to do in their first games. We saw a lot of those statistics from Dillon Gabriel. I think he went 3 for 16 or something in one practice, and it looked really bad. Now I think Dillon has got more reps against the ones, and that's what people have argued in his favor. The people that's arguing for Shedeur, though, is like he's earned his opportunity. When he's playing with those other guys, he has been dominant. So why not give him more reps with the ones? I think what both players have done in these games, though, I think you're going to see both quarterbacks kept on this roster. And I think Huntley and probably Kenny Pickett are going to end up getting cut. And you're going to have a QB room of Flacco, Shedeur, and Dillon Gabriel. Now, this one is a little different than the Washington QB competition with Kirk Cousins and RG3 back in the day, because we know RG3 started right away, right? But this will be two guys vying for QB2 and QB3 spots. And one of them will potentially be elevated at some point this year. It doesn't serve the organization to start Flacco all year. Only way they could do that, is if the Browns come out and do something we all don't see possible. They come out 6-0 or 7-0, then okay, you got to just kind of ride this season out. But if they come out, 3-5, or maybe even earlier than that, maybe even say 3-3 or 3-4, something like that, then you have to pivot to one of these younger quarterbacks to see who's going to be the guy of the future. Matter of fact, you want to pivot to another quarterback, so if they're not the answer, you can even give the next quarterback an opportunity to see what he's got this year. You want to see, ideally, what everyone has this season, and that's why I think Kenny Pickett's injury has come at the wrong time for him to remain on the roster. And I also think, Huntley obviously was just signed for training camp purposes and preseason game purposes in case they had a high amount of injuries, that were unforeseen, in my opinion. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Till next time, peace.